What's going on? Is anybody here? Is anybody here, or am I going to get an early work day? So, don't have a whole lot of big topics today, but I figured we'd get on and we'd just have some fun. We'd chat and see where the day took us. See if we get some people going on here. Let some people falling in. Ooh, Long Rider, what's up, man? We're going to be talking about some A9 Mark III ridiculousness, some wild rumors that are not true, or at least I believe they're probably not true. I'm guessing, have you heard about them, Long Rider? We'll go into it detail. Hopefully more people will show up. But have you heard about the A9 Mark III, the 2024 ridiculousness? In fairness to Sony Alpha rumors, they did at least say that it's not going to be like well, I'm glad to see you here, man. How's the delay? Is it pretty bad, or is it all right? I'm actually checking me right here. That's not that bad. If you are here and you want to get this conversation out to more people, be sure to hit that thumbs up so we can kind of start bringing in some peeps and we can have a good conversation. I don't know why I said peeps. I guess it's Easter time and I might have been seeing those in advertisement. You're sitting in the woods shooting birds, and it just started pouring. So huddled under the tarp, watching you. So, are you a hunter? I didn't know you were a hunter, Long Rider. The delay is about 10 to 12 seconds. Oh, that's not that bad. I'm joking. I'm being sarcastic. I know you're talking about shooting with a camera. I think pretty positive you're talking about shooting with a camera. Did you hear about this A9 Mark III? Did you hear about this yet? My screen's kind of doing some funny stuff here. So I had somebody jump in and then looks like they liked the video. If you're here and you want to chat, let's throw this up here. Might take a second before this actually gets out to everybody. See if I can start bringing up some of the articles here. Micro Four Thirds to Sony adapter. Okay, sorry. This I'm reading news stories as they come up here. What did you think about the interview that Andre did with The Ordinary Filmmaker? Did you find it intriguing? Not hunting, photographing. Yeah. So, is this that bad a delay, or? Yeah. No, I was being sarcastic. I figured you weren't killing birds. I'm sorry. That was me. That was mean to put that out on you. Yeah. No, I know. Photography, wildlife. So, what are you shooting with? I know you have your A9 Mark II. Am I correct in saying that? And then what lens do you have with that? I know you got the A9. You sold a lot of stuff and got the A9. Was it A9 or A9 Mark II? Not exactly sure. I can't exactly remember. Do you shoot with a prime, or do you have a zoom? Yes, I saw the rumor. I'm not sure what to make of it. In my mind, this is a camera that competes with the R3, so it would have to have those specs or better in the marketplace. Me personally, I could care less about video. Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with the care less about video because for myself. But that being said, it just seems odd that and to his credit, he did put it as a wild rumor, so it's not necessarily something that he's like verified or really thinks is 100%. Uh, but for it to be coming out in 2024 with those specs, to me, it sounds very lackluster. You know what I mean? Like that's almost, I guess it's a year and a half at least away. Okay. Any word on a sub 1000 Sony full frame camera? How about a Canon RP replacement? I really trust your opinion. Don't trust my opinion too much. So let me answer the second one first. So you shoot stills exclusively. So let me ask this or answer the second part first. The Canon RP replacement. To our knowledge, Craig Blair, which was the head of Canon Rumors, and Canon Rumors has been overall very. He obviously has some really good sources and people that he trusts, and he's been fairly accurate when it comes to his rumors. He said with an interview with Simon from The Ordinary Filmmaker that he didn't really believe that high yield cameras would be coming anytime soon. And what he defined as high yield is basically cameras that they're going to have to make a lot of them. Because basically, if you think about like the R3, which is a very expensive high end camera, it's going to maybe they can produce 500 of those and meet the demand fairly easy. I mean, not saying only 500 people buy it, but I'm just using that as an example. But say if they sell 500 of those, they're still going to make a pretty good profit and be able to actually have enough parts for that. But if you get something like an RP or an RP replacement, you're going to have to sell a lot of those cameras because it's going to be more of a general consumer camera. And in order to do that, you're going to have to be able to produce a lot without. So I guess long story short, he didn't think that any high yield cameras were going to be coming. I think his idea was like within 6 months. He said maybe not even this year. I do hope that is a little bit of a conservative and an over um, zealous prediction, but I do think that if anything like an RP replacement comes out, then it will be very very short supply, and probably will be a while before they truly announce it, unless something just changes. As far as a sub 1000 Sony full frame camera, maybe Longrider can speak to this a little bit more than I can. I think some people are predicting something like an what do they call like an A5 or something like that, where maybe Sony is going to be getting into that game, but nothing verifiable at this point. So that's what I know. If you're here and you haven't yet, hit that like button. Hey John, what's up? What's up, man? Glad to see you here. I'm not a big fan of The Ordinary Filmmaker. Long Rider. I'm not a big fan of The Ordinary Filmmaker. It's fine to put out the news, but when he goes into opinions, it's clear he doesn't know what he's talking about. Very nice guy, but very uninformed. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm not gonna go. He's been he is a very good guy, and I think we all have opinions with different stuff. And one thing I will say about him and myself, I'll just turn this in. I learn a lot from the community. So things that I didn't know, you guys know a lot more about cameras and things than I do. So, I like how you guys can keep me honest, or not just keep me honest, but keep me informed. So you guys have helped me out, and I'm sure as well. Him as well. So, but he's definitely a good guy and has been a friend of the channel for sure. Okay, so but I mean I understand your opinion. I get it. Not everybody's cup of tea for sure. So damn, I really want a full frame camera to replace my M50 Mark II. Guess I just have to pony up and grab an A7 IV or something. Sony lens selection is just rich. Well, hey man, if you're just replacing, not to downplay it, but if you're going to replace an M50 Mark II, an A7 III is a huge upgrade over that, much cheaper, and so I mean it is full frame. It's going to be better than probably the RP replacement. Just saying. So, I mean, if you can pony up the money and get the A7 IV, great, but don't feel like the A7 III is anything to just kind of count out, because the A7 III has been a great camera for a very long time. So take that into consideration if the dollars are an issue. It is a great camera as well, and a huge upgrade over what you have. Long Rider John, maybe you guys have some other options for Henry as well. Might as well an A7C. Thanks for your feedback, bro. Yeah, I mean, it just all depends on what you're looking for. But yeah, full frame. To me, I like full frame cameras. It just depends on what you're shooting. I know John, he likes APS-C because he likes the size and weight of it, and he wants to be able to shoot a more wildlife, and you can get more reach out of different particular lenses. How is the delay? Is it pretty good? Are we able to conversate pretty seamlessly back and forth, hopefully? If you're here and you're able and you want to get this out to some more people, hit that like button. It'll start sending it out. It'll give the YouTube vibes of just like rub on them really nice, and sounds maybe don't say it like that. Just give it a thumbs up if you don't mind. We are getting some people here. This is more of an ask me anything. I do have this one big story, but camera news is very slow as of lately. So if y'all have any questions in particular, you can throw it out here, and we will go over that one story as whenever y'all want to, essentially. I'm losing people. I think I was losing people talking about caressing the like button. What have you been up to this morning, John? Are you out shooting as well? Long Rider said he was out there, but then, or out shooting somewhere, and then it was a big rainstorm. So I just feel as if a full frame sensor can produce more bokeh for outdoor portraits. With APS-C, you have to multiply the aperture by the crop. So a 1.4 sensor isn't a true 1.4 on an APS-C noticeable. Yeah, like I said, it's completely like what you're up to and what you're shooting. I mean, we can all get great images out of anything if we really know what we're doing. And not saying that like you don't know what you're doing. I'm just saying in general, if everybody can take the time, but having something like a full frame camera or better lens or whatever the case is, it's going to make our jobs a lot easier and make us a lot more consistent in what we're doing, especially when you put like an autofocus like Canon and Sony have, and Nikon with the Z9. I think that it's definitely a worthy investment. So if you're really wanting to get into it in a big way, then yeah, man, go for it, and not get that nice bokeh in the background. Maybe get Luminar AI, and you can do the fake bokeh. John said, not sure what alternative S. Henry was looking for, stills or video. A7 III is very good camera. The original EOS R also a little cheaper now, and similar menu to the M50. Yeah, I like my Canon R, especially for the things that I've shot with photography. I do like that. I use Sony for my video, but yeah, if he was talking about the lenses for the E mount, or so basically the E mount being quite a bit cheaper, which is true. Unfortunately, though, the lenses on pretty much everything is in very short supply. Like I got the Tamron 35 to 150. I ordered it on March 1st, and it still says it's on back order. So I'm just like crossing my fingers, hoping that it goes through before I get on the planes. Do y'all want to jump into the news here, or do y'all have anything else y'all want to talk about? I guess we can talk about a little bit. I mean, just talk about this is the news to a certain degree, because really the biggest news stories that's been out is news. Okay, let's go for it. All right, so this is probably not true, but let's do it. The screenshot here. Can y'all see it? Okay, so it says wild rumors. So he's kind of giving you an idea that this is not something that he is verified or checked out. So, kind of take it as you will. But this was an A9 III wild rumor that came in. It said it will be released for 2024 Summer Olympic Games. Really not very shocking there. But in a way, I would almost think that an A1 Mark II might be ready for that. So we'll see. It has a 25 megapixels, same EVA, or basically AF performance, autofocus performance as the A1, but supports 30 frames per second, 14-bit lossless compression RAW. So that's new. If I'm not mistaken, the lossless compression RAW, usually you have to have um, compressed RAW to get the 30 frames per second out of the Sony A1. With a crazy large buffer and the anti-distortion electronic shutter with flash sync is up to 1/400th of a second, 500 frames per second sensor without speed. Okay. Readout speed. I said without speed. Okay. The EVF resolution is lower to achieve a full-time 240 frames per second live view. Also, it provides a full frame 6.2 or Super 35 1.5 crop, 4K 1.1 oversampling, 4K 60, and Super 35. This all sounds ridiculous, and 4K 120. The reason to me this sounds ridiculous is I don't believe any of it. I don't think that the Summer 24 Olympics is the place for it. Not that it's not a great Olympic camera. It's just that if you're going to bring that out, I think it needs to be before then, in my mind, especially considering the A1 Mark II. I mean, that's not that long of a life cycle. I mean, that's about right for the A9 or A1 Mark II. I would expect that for the Summer Olympics game. Having this camera in 2024 seems very far behind the competition, considering this is very similar to the R3 and would be a competitor to the R3. I don't know. It doesn't seem necessarily far. To me, it sounds like this sounds like a camera that could come out this year, not a camera that should be coming out in 2024, in my mind. So to me, these specs are very, let's say, I think these specs are very underwhelming, to say the least, especially if this is a 2024 camera. That's just my take on it. We can talk about this for just a second, and then maybe we can go to another story as well. All right. Long Rider said, "Hey, John, cool. I see here Henry is a portraitist, portrographer. What about that? No, terrible. Full frame will be better for shallow depth of field. If video's not a thing, there are multiple good brands. Try handling some at a store. See what you like." Agreed. Matt, I have the Tamron 35-150, great lens. If you need it for your trip, I will send you mine if yours does not come in. Dude, it's crazy appreciated, but I hope that it doesn't come to that, because I'm going to be going for a very long time, Long Rider, and I'd hate to take your lens from you for a very long time. I don't know how long, but it's going to be a while. So I'd hate to take your lens that long. And also, if something happened to it, I would feel terrible. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I'm not going to rule it out. Henry said, "Thank you, John, for your feedback." Yeah, John and Long Rider both know what they're talking about here. These guys are, especially in the photography department, they are much more informed than I. John says, "I'm not sure where the A9 Mark III really belongs in the Sony lineup once the R1 comes out. I might say the same about the R3. Yeah, that is interesting. I think it might just be a price point thing. Not everybody, kind of like Long Rider, and you've talked about with when it comes to, or especially Long Rider's talked about when it comes to like taking hundreds of pictures a day, or maybe even over 1,000 pictures a day. If you're dealing with those file sizes of 40 and above or 50 like the A1, I mean it gets cumbersome like crazy, and so some people really want like the fast 24 megapixels, still want that speed of a camera, and they just want to be able to take that amount of pictures. So that could be where it belongs. Also the price point. The A9 usually came in, I think it was right at was it 4,500 that it started at, or did they actually start out at 4,800 and move down? I think it was 4,499. So that's a big thing. The A1 where it sits right now, and maybe some people think it's overpriced, but I mean they were coming in with like the 1DX. They were at $6,500 with that. And I don't really see them going down in price unless Canon and Nikon truly force that. The Nikon Z9 did come in at $5,500, but the Nikon was in a quite a different position than Sony and Canon are at this time, especially in the mirrorless market. So maybe it's just a price thing. Maybe it's for people who want the speed but that don't want the file sizes. Um, John said, "Good point, Matt. Thank you." Especially sports shooters who need to turn photos over rapidly to editors. Henry says, "Thanks for all the information, guys. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the stream." Appreciate you for showing up, Henry. You have a good one. Dude, I see your picture. You're jacked, man. Congratulations. uh, A9 R3, better in low light, high ISO shooting, John. Yeah. That's kind of, well, so that makes sense too. That's also a beneficial thing. I'm very curious to see how that technology works out, where Sony says that they can double saturation in their new stacked, whatever they're calling this new stacked version of the sensor. I do wonder about that, because if that is the case, I mean, theoretically we could have an A1 Mark II at 50 megapixels, and it would be, like I said, in theory, as good of low light performance as an A9, like at 24 megapixels. Long Rider, that will come in handy for indoor sports shooting. Yeah, especially like if you're like thinking of like ice skating and things like that. We do have to think about though, where is technology with like software going to go? Because to me, you have to, not, you don't have to, but if you could get something that is shooting fast computational photography, and you can shoot at kind of basically doing what the Panasonic's doing, where you have, or the dual gain output sensors of like the cinema cameras, if you can get something shooting at a very low and a very high, and then just bring the best dynamic range, if you could do that and you're essentially taking 2 photos every time, that would be very interesting, and it would maybe keep the low light problems not a problem, possibly, if you're shooting at essentially 2 different exposures for one picture. I also wonder about the software like Lightroom and things like that. I know it's a fast turnaround. You might want to get that right away, and you always want to get something great in camera. But I mean, think how good the AI software is getting right now in comparison to where it was 2 years ago. I'm not saying people just need to rely on that, but I mean, where will it be in 2 more years that maybe, getting rid of, low noise with the AI reconstruction and stuff, let's just say it might not be as big of an issue. It might not be something that everybody adopts right away, especially if you're professional at that level. But for the average consumer, it might be a click away to get rid of pretty much noise and upscale at a fairly easy way. I don't know. Maybe that's just me talking out my backside. Let's see here. Um, I do think it was. I would like to try to get some people in here to do an interview as well. I'm not sure if they would because they don't really know me. Leo says, "Does anyone have an idea of what the A9 Mark III would cost or will cost?" I think it will cost. If I'm having to guess, it would be the $44.99 again. Isn't that where they start off? I can't remember if that's where they start off or if they start off at $47.99 and move down to 44. But it's under 5K usually. I wouldn't see it being more expensive than that. Assuming that inflation doesn't go super crazy. But I mean, it's already pretty crazy. But I don't see them going much over 5,000, especially if they're going to have that as a bracket, and they're also going to have the A9 or A1 here as well. Long Rider says high megapixel cameras are much better if you're going to print. Most viewing today is online, and until the sensor technology improves, I wouldn't shoot anything over 30. That's just me. Yeah, and I guess it really depends too on your caliber of skill to a certain degree and what you're using the picture for. Like I talked about with the Sony A7R Mark V, where Andrea he essentially alluded to the fact that he believes it's going to be somewhere around 100 megapixels. I will say he was very careful, even in the interview, to say, "Hey, this is not 100%, and this is just kind of where I'm at with it, where I believe." He did say he has a reliable source telling him it's going to be a resolution bump, but he said he wanted to verify that to be 100%. So that is at least he's trying. So that being said, the reason why 100 megapixels for a camera like that, which is not a high sports photography camera, so that's kind of not a point, but a good reason for that is, I think Jay Christina talks about this quite a bit, where if you have a portrait of if you have a portrait of a model and you're like working for a publisher or something like that, if you can take 100 megapixel picture of a model, then you can kind of zoom into whatever area you want to specifically accentuate at that time. So I'm not saying that that's necessarily the best thing to do, just because composition and stuff. But if you, for example, just want her hand, and you have a full picture of a model, then you can zoom into the hand and you could still have a very adequate amount of megapixels for your ad. So it would just give multiple different options for one picture. So there is that advantage as well. So for cropping in purposes. A9 Mark II is currently $44.98 at B&H. The Mark III might be a little more, just guessing. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe $47.99 or something like that. I also think Nikon shook up the birding world, not only with the Z9, but the new lenses is really a game changer. 800 millimeter for 6500. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Long Rider. I just don't know enough, I think, about those particular lenses to give away in a super opinion. But I trust that you're right. I think you're talking about, because 800 millimeter lenses. Is it a 2.8 possibly, or whatever, those big super telephoto. I haven't looked much into it, but I know that those really expensive primes are usually really expensive. I think they're usually crazy up there. So $6,500 still sounds ridiculous for a lens for me, but when you're getting at that caliber of lenses, maybe that's the thing. Jay Bronx says, "What's going on? We're just talking cameras, enjoying ourselves, talking about the A9 wild rumors. Probably aren't true, but just kind of speculating on stuff, enjoying our Saturday. What's going on with you?" In my opinion, over 50 megapixels is overkill unless you're printing for a wall. 100 megapixel for a model, you'll spend days touching out every tiny flaw. I can see it for photography and landscape shooting. Possibly. I don't know. Uh, uh yeah, every flaw. I guess it depends on your lighting. It depends on the makeup. It also, I don't know. I mean, some of this technology is just so good. Like I have Luminar AI, and I'm just very, or it's not AI, it's the Neo one, but whatever. I'm very impressed with what it can do. And it's getting faster. It's not fast by any means, but I mean, you hit the remove flaws thing, and like literally 90% of the time, it gets the flaws away that you want, and it's one click. So I don't know. And usually, when you give it more information, it can kind of do that easier than with what I'm just shooting a 12 megapixel image. What's the deal on A9 Mark III or a used A1? A better deal. Well, I mean, the A9 Mark III is not out, so it's kind of hard to say. From these specs, it again, it kind of depends on what you're looking for, but personally, I would pick an A1 if these specs are true, especially considering they're saying it's not coming out to 2024. So in 2024, even, I mean, I would have to maybe look at it at the time. But for me personally, knowing that I would want the higher megapixels for landscapes and things like that, um, but you know, and to me, the speed doesn't. I mean, okay, sorry. Speaking about 2024 as me right now, so it's kind of hard to say where my needs will go in the future. But speaking from a person who would like a higher megapixel camera, for slower photography, generally speaking, doesn't care as much about the speed and wants better video, then yeah, for me, the A1 will be a better deal. A Long Rider, a couple months ago, Sony put out a patent for a sense of design and substrate is different, but it is a stacked sensor. That's possibly doubles the light gathering that may change things for higher megapixel cameras. I'm sure other companies are working on things too. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with their new sensor technology. I mentioned that. I think in passing was kind of the thing, but I talked about it with the my video with the R5 maybe being 100 megapixels. If that's the case and they can really get double the low light out of it, that's awesome. That is also something that I wonder if that's what Sony is waiting for to go with 8K in a lot of their cameras. Like, for example, let's say the A7S Mark IV, assuming that there's going to be such a camera and they're not just going to switch everything over to the FX3 line. But assuming that that camera comes out, I don't see a video centric camera coming out that's not 8K at this point, just because it's kind of perception and the industry seems to be going over there. So for them to have like you know, let's say in a year and a half or whenever whatever the new A7 whatever A7S series would come out, let's say in a year and a half, a camera coming out that doesn't have 8K, I would be shocked. At least where things are looking. So that being said, the A7S series has always been known for its low light. But if you could have a 45 megapixel sensor that can shoot 8K with the low light performance of like a 22-ish megapixel, 22 and a half megapixel sensor, that would be awesome. Of course, we'd have to see how it works. Oh, Long Rider, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I don't want anybody to ever feel that they have to, but I absolutely appreciate it when they come. So thank you so much, Long Rider. John said, speaking of Luminar, the parent company is based in Ukraine. I hope they're okay and got. Oh my gosh, I didn't know any of that. That's nuts. Skyline, man, I did not know that. Uh, I mean, I hate it that anybody is based in Ukraine at this point. Just terrible stuff. Um, but I hate to hear that. I hope you're right, John. Um, I don't know what the best outcome for that stuff is, and I'm not going to go too much into it just because I think we all want a slight escapism, and we can kind of use this time to think about cameras and not think about terrible stuff like that. Not no problem for bringing it up. I'm just saying in general, I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole because we could both get everybody could get a little sad if we wanted to thinking about something so terrible. Um, but yeah, thank you again, Long Rider, and yeah, let's just all hope that that they're okay and everybody else for that matter. Um, it is interesting because I have not heard anything as far as updates and stuff goes from them. So I do wonder if I might go, since I do have Luminar, I'm not gonna go do it this second. But if I go check my email, maybe I can see if they actually address that, or if we've got any kind of update things. John said, I didn't know they were a Ukraine company either until recently. I saw the chairman interviewed on YouTube video, I think, Joe Christina. Why do I call him Jay? Is it Joe? He goes, Jay Christina is the YouTube channel. Okay. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't know that either. So thank you though. I might go check out that video. So, was it post war that this interview was taking place? So I wonder if he was mentioning any of that stuff. Because I mean, that's definitely gonna, I don't know, just from our small circle. Not that it's even near the most important part of it, but it could affect the way the technology and company evolves overall, or doesn't evolve. Hopefully, hopefully not. But um, I enjoy Jay Christina with his cup of tea. It's tea time, tea time. Uh, I mean, I think he's one of those people that, to me, Jay Christina, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I just don't know enough myself, but he actually seems like somebody who kind of knows what he's talking about. So, not kind of. He does seem like he's somebody who knows what he's talking about, and that he's really out in the field a lot, and he's in the profession really doing what he's talking about. So he seems like more like a professional photographer. I think of him and Three Blind Men and an Elephant. I think of people like that as people who like seem like they really know a lot about. I can't believe I'm thinking of Philip Bloom. People of their caliber that get on here and talk. I feel like these people actually know about the art and the business of photography and videography. And when they get on here and talk, I tend to listen. But I do think it's funny because a lot of times, like Jay Christina, his stuff is very, I don't know, simple. Like it's about the same setup that I have here, not with the webcam, but in general. So I don't ever see him out in the field whatsoever. Um, but that being said, I think I don't see him out in the field because he's out being a photographer. So we'll see. Uh, John, yes, within last few weeks, I think the guy was still in Kiev at the time. Wow, interesting. Yeah, Christine's a working pro shooter, videographer, and set director. Yeah, that's the impression that I got. I haven't obviously seen him as much as you guys, but I've enjoyed his videos when I saw it. I just think it doesn't look like he's cutting a lot, and he's just naturally talking to the camera, which I admire. It's hard for me to. I mean, when I do a video, I'm having to cut a lot. Like I'm having to do a lot of different edits, and so I'm still trying to figure out my flow with my videos. Sometimes I think as somebody who's bringing things out, I want to be better and better for everybody. I want to keep growing as a person and as a channel. So I'm trying to still figure out the way I want to edit my videos. I'm trying to like look into more, um, kind of think of it like a look at YouTube and see, like, I feel like the type, kind of rambling, I feel like the type of video that I'm creating right now, like I feel like Camera Wars was very unique to the sense that it was basically only me and Jared doing the same type of stuff. So, granted, a lot of people thought it was too much like Jared Polin and Frono's Photo, and I get it, and I think that that was reflecting in the numbers of the show. Um, that being said, I did feel like that made me somewhat unique. Now, people are seemingly still enjoying it, and it's still my take. But I do feel like the types of videos I'm making, I'm like, well, what is making this video unique from anybody else doing this video? So I'm trying to play around with adding thank you so much, Leo. He said he loves my live shows. They're great. I appreciate it. I really I honestly need to take the time to like set up a better setup. Like I'm using my webcam on my computer, but overall, like I feel like it's easier to manage. I don't have like all the equipment to like cut away and stuff. So I don't want to necessarily have to, like if I was looking up at my camera, it would be like me looking up from here all the time, and then I'd have to be looking down at my computer. So I don't know. I like being able just to look up, but partially that's me not maybe taking the time to do as much on the live shows. But I appreciate it. I'm glad you like them, Leo. I'm glad that you're here. Um, I enjoy doing live shows. But when I'm talking about the going back to what I was talking about with the other stuff, and I don't mean to monologue too much, but I'm trying to figure out what types of editing or how can I bring even more of my personality into what I'm doing on a regular basis to make it more, I don't know, unique to me. So not necessarily as jokey as Camera Wars were. Um, Maybe not as scripted, but how can I do certain things that are, make it a little bit more faster. And so I'm looking at different people, and these are definitely younger skews of YouTubers, but I'm looking at people like Mr. Beast, people that are huge on YouTube, and just seeing not necessarily the content they're making, but the way that they're editing and the fast paced nature of it, like the ins and outs, like the quickness of everything and the no wasted time. And I'm trying to think, I was like, now a lot of people are bringing that style of editing to this type of content when it comes to like just talking and to the camera. So it might be something that I do, and people say, the reason this isn't a thing here is because no one likes this here, and that's a possibility. But it also could be an opportunity. So I'm mulling things over. Oh man, appreciate people just listening to me monologue. Is there anybody want to chat a little bit more? Y'all have some other thoughts? Do y'all want me to go in? Have y'all heard some news that maybe I haven't went over, and we can talk about here live? Any thoughts? I have about maybe. I mean, I have about as long as we want to go. No, my wife, she works on Saturdays, so I take care of the baby. But we have some time still, so I don't want to just be monologuing myself. But it looks like no one wants to chat. All right, let's see. Let's go down here and Sony Alpha Rumors here. Let's go over to Canon Rumors and see if it just so happens something to pop up. Okay, so this was the lens. Okay. Wow, okay. So this is a pretty impressive lens here. Come on. This is the lens that Longrider was talking about. So this Nikon Z800 f6.3 PF VRS. Come on with better names. So it's light for its category. It turns out to be light at 5.25 pounds and cheap at $6,500. In some people's worlds, that's cheap. While better than most previous 800 offerings, its minimum focus distance is still pretty far out at more than 5 yards, giving the lens a 0.16 magnification ratio. This means that shooters have to back away from close subjects to get them in focus. I mean, it's an 800, so to me that's not that big of a deal. The new Canon is 32% heavier, about 2 inches longer, and the image quality appears to be significantly impaired relative to the Nikon. So Nikon is bringing it out here. It seems like they're making stuff happen. I wonder how much the Canon one is. Holy bajoli. So the bajoli, sorry, that's very childish or very something. Maybe old. $17,000 price for the Canon. That is nuts. So Nikon really is. I saw a headline. I didn't watch the video from the Ordinary Filmmaker, but he said, Nikon starts a price war, and that is crazy. I mean, that's impressive what Nikon is doing here, and I hope it continues. That's super cool. I think with moves like this, Nikon could be bringing a lot of people back to their system. But I hope it's a long-term situation where it's not just like, ooh, let's bring you back into our system and then price gouge you. I mean, it tends to be the way companies work, generally speaking. Yeah. Okay. So cool. I haven't heard about any news worth talking about. Crazy Sony rumors is all. There are only 3 of us watching. Oh, that sounds sad. I see 6. There was 8 earlier when I was talking here, so sorry about that. So okay, I'm trying to think, because your name, I'm trying to see if I can pronounce it right. I'm pretty sure that's kind of like Scandinavian type, so I'm pretty sure that it would be like Sweden or something like that. I think that J would make like an aspirin. I don't think you would have this J sound. Okay, sorry. Just trying to read. Do you shoot Canon or what brand, and do you shoot anything professionally? I shoot Canon when it comes to photography, and I shoot Sony when it comes to videography. As far as for professionally goes, I'm not like a full-time photographer or full-time video guy. I have done quite a bit of why can't I think of the thing? Freelance type work. So I've had, especially in the video centric side, like I shoot some live events, some dance companies where they have, they're like, I say dance company because it's like a dance recital, but a little bit higher end. I've shot some dance company live events. I've also done some marketing work for them, and also for some real estate people, like basically creating their marketing videos. So I've done some stuff professionally or freelance when it comes to videography. Photography, if somebody wants me to take their portraits and throw me some bucks, I'll do it. But it's nothing huge on that. I got more into photography and videography when it came to wanting to travel, and I honestly started a travel YouTube channel is when I jumped into photography and videography. I just wanted to learn everything I could learn about it to create the prettiest type of travel videos that I could, and then travel cut itself off from being an option, and I found myself with at least more photography and videography knowledge than the majority, not saying the minority that watches me. Y'all guys know a lot more than I do most of the time. But I found myself with some working knowledge of photography and videography and thought, hey, let's do that. So that's what's happening right now. John says, oh, up to 7 now. That Nikon lens is pretty crazy, especially the price. Canon's 800 f 5.6 is 17,000. Yeah, we were just reading about that. It's pretty nuts. Yeah. Oh, Very nice. I like your videos. I do learn and have gotten into cameras that way. Oh, I do e-learn, like so online learning, I'm thinking, and got into cameras that way. Do a few freelance things here and there, like you. Yeah, and yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm hoping to take the knowledge that I'm gaining, and I am going to be creating a travel channel as well when things open up. And we do have a trip. My wife is from Vietnam, and so we have a trip planned there for a while. So yeah. Okay. He said, "What would your dream lens be? What focal range and features?" Um, hmm, dream lens. So with my particular needs, I like being very I like being very light in my bag. So I like zoom lenses. A lot of people don't like zooms. That being said, I like that Tamron 35 to 150. I haven't used it yet, but that particular style of lens is awesome. It for me, like I like that long focal length, and what they're doing is pretty interesting. Of course, I wish that they could have somehow kept f2. So, but if you had something like that, even if you could go from like a 24 to like, I don't know, maybe a 24 to 135 would be, I don't know, somewhere around there. Like I think that that's a fairly dream focal length for me, just because of the versatility it gives to you. Of course, I would love for it to be like stay at 2.0 if it could and keep the same weight. I would also like optical stabilization in it if it could keep the same weight. So somewhere like that would be more like a dream lens for me. If we want to go over to primes, I've used the Canon 85 1.2. That's nuts. I mean, anything that's super low focal length, or not focal, super low f-stop, to me is very intriguing, just because of the low light performance and the extra bokeh you can get out of it. So I hope that answers your question a little bit. But yeah, speaking personally, that's I like just the handheld nature of things, and so that would be more for me. But I know a lot of people have probably a better answer than I do. Uh, are you willing to compromise with 24 to 150 being f4, for example, or shorter zoom range and faster? It's very interesting. So, okay, let me use this for example. So I am trading in my Tamron 17 to 28 f2. Uh, yeah, 27. Yeah, I'm going to be trading that in for the new Sony zoom lens that they have, the PZ. Uh, what is it? The 16 to 35 f4. It really is depending on the type of lens that we're looking at. So, like within that focal length, for me, if I'm going to be shooting, like a landscape, I'm not going to have it super low focal length. I'm also shooting with the Sony A7S III, so low light isn't really an issue for me. And when it comes to vlogging and things like that, I think people kind of want to see a background. And if you're at a wide angle, like a 17 2.8, you're not blurring much of a background anyways, unless you have it like right up to your face. And what's the point of vlogging if you're going to do that anyways? So for me, I preferred the f4, or at least I think I'll prefer the f4 with the longer focal length, because it gives you some freedom. I have the Canon 15 to 35 f1 or 2.8, my favorite lens ever. I barely took it off my camera. So I was definitely willing to compromise for that. But when you get to on the other side of the spectrum, I mean, I really do like blurring out that background. I do know that f4, if you're at 135 with an f4, I mean, that's blurred background no matter what in my mind. But I would like a little bit better than that. So good, good question, but I don't know if I would compromise 24 to 150 because that being said, my secondary lens, I would need 2 lenses at least. It's going to be a wide angle. It's going to cover that 24 anyways. So me, no, but for some people, maybe. John said my answer would be different, not necessarily better. Lenses are tools, and what's best for anyone depends on what you shoot under what conditions. Yeah, exactly, John. Yeah, that's 100%. Um, it's all depending on personal preference and need. I do find, and it's a symptom of living where we live, and I guess being conditioned the way we're conditioned in general, and liking what we like. I do find that hype definitely gets me sometimes. Like I'll see somebody using something, um, Peter McKinnon or things like that. Somebody who, for me, I like their personality and I find them very entertaining and good at what they do. They might be using something, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I really want that or I need that. And overall, I really don't need much. Uh, yeah, I'm super easily hyped. So yeah, the same here. I find myself falling into being easily hyped, and it's something I'm working on because I can't start making a little bit of money from YouTube, and I haven't made hardly any money from YouTube. But if I keep spending every way more than I'm making, then this will never turn into a like actual career. So I have to kind of manage my money and expectations more if I'm going to start making this like a real business more so than a side thing. So yeah, I do find too it's funny. Like for example, I have the A7S III, and I can see the A7S IV coming out and then instantly being like, "Oh, I want it so much. I need it. It has 8K, for example." That being said, it's like I've seen some videos that people make with the A7S III. Heck, I've seen videos that and pictures or whatever made with the A7 III that are nuts, that are like, wow, way better than any video I've ever made. And they made it with a camera that is not, technically as good as what I have. And so, I mean, it really does make you want to point a mirror at yourself and just say, hey, it's time for me to get better, and not necessarily want my tools to get better. Long Rider talks a lot about that, or not all the time, but he talks. Oh man, I'm sorry, not showing the chat here. There we go. He talks a lot about this, and with like, for example, when the news came out that Canon may not. Hey, John, did you ever double check me on that? But I'm pretty sure I'm understanding that right about the high yield cameras. It really means cameras that are producing a lot, because he goes on to explain it. But did you ever go double check on that interview? I'm like 99% sure I was right on the way he says. Um, but yeah, he was talking about when that video came out saying that Canon wasn't basically going to have any real new cameras in the high yield capacity for maybe the next 6 months or year, even, or this year rather. Um, he was talking about being able to get better with the tools we got, and I think there's a lot of truth there. Oh, I didn't get to replay that video. No, it's okay. The chapters are confusing because it says no high-end camera in 2022, but that's not what he actually says. He says high yield camera, and then he goes on to talk about people ask me all the time, why don't Canon create like a 35 f, I don't know, he was just basically talking about like a budget 35 or a budget lenses, and he was saying, you can keep up demand with a 1.2 and you sell a little bit and you still make a lot of money. But when it comes to lower end stuff that a lot of people are going to sell, it's hard to keep up with demand. And then he goes on to say, talk about the R3 versus, and he said, I think that the R7 is going to be a camera like that where it's going to sell 10-1 to an R3. So I'm pretty positive I'm interpreting him right, because then he also goes on to say the person that told me that March or April was going to be the thing is saying that retailers haven't heard anything at this point. So I'm pretty sure I'm interpreting right what he meant by high yield, but the chapter that Simon put on it was a little confusing, and so because it said no high end camera, and that's not what he was talking about. So I just think it was a typo from Simon, possibly. Okay, let's see how many people we got here. 6 people watching me chatter. Anybody have any questions here before I call it a Saturday? Canon make a budget 35 f 1.8. I own one. I guess does make but they don't make a 24 or 20 at all. Yeah, I think because I was when I said 35, I instantly thought, wait, they have the macro. So I am wrong about that, but I think he was basically talking about just in general a budget lens, and I don't know if he said 35. I just used that example. He might have said 24, or something. I don't know. But he was talking in general about it's hard for them to do budget lenses. Actually, let's see here. I just spent 13 grand on a 600 f4. I know what you mean, lol. About which part? You know what I mean about the hype part? Yeah, Canon needs more budget RF lenses. Yeah. Dude, that's nuts. 13 grand on a lens. Congratulations, Long Rider, for having it, man. If I'm not mistaken, you're a retired police officer. If I'm not mistaken, from what I remember. Obviously, whatever you did or with your money or worked out for you, because spending 13,000 on a lens, I couldn't do it. But hey, it's what you do. It's what you love, man. Invest in it. Um, Long Rider is out there. He puts in the hours for his photography. And Long Rider, you've never really said if you do it professionally. I know you, very high end hobbyist. I'm sure you're professional in your quality of pictures for sure. But do you actually try to do it for money, or is it this all just the love of it? Because I know Long Rider is out there. I think he says every day he's shooting hundreds of pictures, which is nuts. And he was just out there right now shooting a lot. So that's crazy. But man, uh, awesome, man. Congratulations on that. Yeah, Canon needs more budget friendly RF lenses. And then he did the eyeballs to Long Rider. Yeah, that's how I feel. Like 13,000. I don't even know if all my camera gear together is worth 13,000. Man, that's cool. If you got it, spend it, especially if it's on something you love and use, which is you, Long Rider, for sure. How are you enjoying it? If you have it, do you? I mean, I guess you're putting it on the A9 Mark II, I believe, or A9 regular. I don't know, but he has an A9. That's gonna be nuts, man. Congratulations on that, dude. Anyways, sorry, my brain's still blowing up. I think it makes sense for these camera companies to focus more on high end profit margins. The lower end cameras are automatically going to be competing with cell phones. Yeah. Yeah, I've talked about that before too. And I know a lot of people don't like to admit that. They want to say, yeah, he, so underneath, Revan. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pronounce your first name properly. I'm sorry. I don't mean to butcher anything. Uh, if you have the money and find enjoyment from it, something, then go, go, go. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. Here, here. Um, I think it makes sense for these camera companies to focus. Yeah. So I don't think a lot of people want to admit that cell phones are an issue for lower end cameras. Um, I mean, it is impressive what you can get out of a cell phone nowadays, and it's just getting better and better. The chips that they put in these cell phones are nuts, light years ahead of what chips we're getting in these cameras right now. If you had an A15 Bionic chip in a camera, I mean, in like a regular camera, it'd be crazy. So when you're going to have to go focus more in on that higher end, because that higher end is what people are who are enthusiasts and people like us who go out there and want to spend money on a dedicated camera and want that better, that we can tell what's better and we might actually use it. Those are the people who are going to buy your cameras, because the vast majority of people aren't going to know how to use $1,000 camera enough to get any better results than they can get out of their iPhone. That's just my thought. And so, if you have $1,000 camera, or even $1,500 camera, say 2,000 after you get a decent lens, most people are not going to be able to say, "Oh, this camera took way better pictures than my cell phone did," even if it technically can. That group of people, um, I mean, I'm not saying you don't want a camera that people can feel like they fall in love with it, because if you make the barrier to entry so high that basically no one new can get into photography, that's a problem too. But I think focusing in on the other stuff is going to have to be a, a thing. So I don't know. I think you also have the idea that the lower end cameras do bring people to fall in love with it, because nobody's going to start off with a $5,000 camera. Nobody, most nobody. Okay. John, I agree. The photography market has become bifurcated between phones and expensive cameras. I'm not sure if I know what bifurcated means. Maybe I'm. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure if I know what that means. Um, but yeah, sorry. I agree. I think you're saying basically that. Yeah, okay, bifurcated, I guess, meaning two different ends. So I'm trying to break down the word. But yeah, it's basically meaning cell phones on the lower end, and I think expensive cameras on the other end. And I think that's definitely a thing. So, other than for bringing new people in to bring them over to your more expensive cameras, then I don't know if lower end cameras make much sense for many people, unless it's like a B camera. Maybe I'm being too cynical. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too dismissive of people. But yeah, I just want to hear you say bifurcated. You got it right. Bifurcated means divided into two sets. Wanted to hear you say bifurcated. That's funny. Uh, that's you got me good, because I was just like, is that a word that I've heard? I don't know. Anyways, uh, I, I I used my phonics and my the I broke it down like they do in dictionaries, like Latin. What's this word? Bi for two, and then polarization. Anyways, uh, Long Rider. I have a few people that have been buying my birding images for publication, but that's a tough business. More recently, I've been shooting amateur sports and selling prints. That's awesome, man. That's great stuff. Um, that's cool that you've had any images being bought for publications, because I mean that is a hard market, tough business. So yeah, that's cool. Been shooting amateur sports and selling prints. Yeah, I mean there's niches out there that you can get into and make some money. Um, What professional cameras can do that phones can't is take low light photos of movement, blur background, telephoto shots. So I think it's super important to be able to capture that kind of stuff if you charge for it. Yeah, I mean, I do completely agree that these cameras have benefits that phone cameras do not. 100%. I just think that if you go and you look at it from a perspective of what most $1,000 cameras or $2,000 cameras that people would get into, what they're able to accomplish is different than what the higher end cameras can do, anyways. So for most people, are they going to really be shooting fast movement and low light? And then also the other thing I look at, let's look back at a cell phone picture from 2016 to 2022. I mean, it's night and day. It's crazy different. You can go back and look at a real camera, professional camera from 2016 to today. If you had the right lens and the right technology or the right person, you can get a very similar image with somebody who knows what they're doing using a 2016 camera to today. So I guess that's my point of as things progress, and cameras are the most important things on these cell phones now. It's not even a comparison. I mean, the new iPhone, they're talking about it like it's getting an even bigger camera bump. These things are basically becoming talking cameras, to a certain degree. Or internet cameras. So I just think I guess the low end consumer market is going to be even more absorbed by the cell phone market. So yeah. Longer said it, I wouldn't call myself a working professional. No, that's me too. Like, and I would say you're more professional than I am. but Leo says, unfortunately, I have to opt out. It was very interesting again. Thanks to all. Well, thank you for showing up, Leo. And honestly, we don't have too much more time here. My wife's about to have to go to work, so I'm about to have to call it a day. I just ordered the lens. It takes 3 months to manufacture. That's crazy. What brand is it? A Sony brand 600 millimeter? I'm guessing it's a Sony. I mean, I'm assuming, but maybe I shouldn't. I also love my Samsung Note 10 for all my family photos. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like for people that are halfway knowing what they're doing, like I don't know. I feel like a cell phone is going to be easier it's going to be in your pocket, and it's going to be easier to pull out. And most people who don't know how to take a picture with a regular camera, they don't even know how to take it off of auto. They're not going to get any better results out of a camera than anybody else. So yeah. My Pixel 5 has a great camera. The new Pixel 6 is even better. Frankly, for most people who aren't serious shooters, mobile phones are more than enough. Yeah, that's literally exactly what I was talking about. So glad I'm not alone in that. I hate to say that because I have a camera YouTube channel. But I mean, just because something's going to be niche doesn't mean that there's still not plenty of people out there that are want to be a part of it. Like this community right here, you guys love cameras and are very good at what you do and are willing to pay $13,000 for a lens. Like that's nuts. But you are the people who are really gonna care to watch a camera YouTube channel in the first place. And I'm not trying to sound snobbish, like I know what I'm trying to do. The truth hurts sometimes, Matt. It does. It does hurt sometimes. Yeah. It is. Yep, it is what it is. But I mean, whatever. We there's gonna be enough crazy people here to make a enjoyable channel about, and then in the future I might have to be like the iPhone camera moving Matt. Hopefully not. I do need to be better about expanding technology onto this channel, though. I think that's just smart for the future term. So I need to be better about reviewing more than just the top end stuff. I think, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay. Look, I appreciate everybody that came and hung out. I'm sorry the news wasn't much news, but I hope you enjoyed your time with me. And everybody, I hope y'all enjoy your Saturday, your weekend, or where, depending on where you are, if it's Saturday night for you, I hope you're enjoying your Saturday night. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for watching as always. If you've happened to not subscribed already, and you're like somebody who's watched till this point, then maybe do that as well. Thank you all for showing up. Thanks for watching the videos. If you ever have any ideas of things y'all want to do, just like videos y'all want me to make, just I'm always open to ideas. But until next time, peace. I always mess. I always want to hit the finish right when I say peace, but I never do.